Now that we have the basic sphere jumping, like shown, we want to actually be able to provide action impulses to go to the left and right. The first thing that I want to do is I want to actually create a camera, because this is going to become important for registration. So let me go ahead and keep grid snapping on, and I'll turn on toggle snapping to geometry. I'm going to go to create object, and inside the miscellaneous tab, we'll go to camera. And what I want to do is I want to make sure that my camera actually has a camera target. So when I click once, it just creates the camera itself. But check this out. If I click the camera and I drag after the fact, I now create a camera target, which is exactly what I want. So that's just a quick tip. So now what we can do is we can shoot this over. Let's press the O key to turn off our snapping. And we can shift this up, and now we have a camera target within. Looks like it's a little offset. So move it over. Let's snap it to this base. And after a little fiddling, we have our camera where we want it to be. So we'll call this one main cam. And then I'm going to go into my level explorer, and I can keep the main cam target as it is. So we'll leave those as they are for the moment. And now we're ready to jump back into Flowgraph to actually provide the action impulses. So this is going to be similar like we had before, where we have the jump limit. So I'm going to go ahead and just copy and paste a debug input key. I'm going to take a start node, and I'm going to add it at the beginning. So I just like to say it's enabled on both of them. You don't know who you're going to pass it on to, so they can enable or disable it easily. I know on my keyboard I want to use the keys J and L for the left and right. So we'll go ahead and make the first one L. We can make the second one J. And I know that I'm going to use a physics action impulse on this as well. So I want to remove the Z values because we're actually going to influence them through this specific key input. Now I have my entity ID, which is right here, and I'm going to copy and paste that because it's going to be the same action impulse I know on the sphere. And I want to take into account the fact that I'm going to set my number. So if I go into math, I can say on pressed, I want to set this value. And this value can also activate it. I mean, it doesn't have to be just one thing. So we can go ahead and set this to something like -100. So now I'm saying that in -100, I want to output this value and push it into the impulse or the action impulse. So what happens if I press play and now I press the L key? So now I have my sphere and it's getting an influence. But there's actually very little registration because this is what we're going to use to register it. But we'll get to that in a second. So I know I want to also set another number. And on press, let's do the positive influence here. So now I have two values, and obviously I can't just combine both of them. I could through a logic any node, which is exactly what we'll use in one case, but we can't do it on the other because I need to actually scale the vector based on the camera target that's in the scene. So let's grab the cam target and we'll copy and paste this entity ID. And we'll assign the cam target to that. And now we need to get the position of the cam target. So we'll do Q get position. So I want to get this entity's position, but I also need to understand how often do I want to get it. Well, I want to get it quite often, so we'll do Q time, and we'll base the get off of ticks. So every tick we're able to get this position that we want. What we're looking for is the forward direction. And if you remember correctly, I said I wanted to scale the vector, so then the value coincides with the impulse. So we'll do Q scale vec3, and I wanted to take the forward direction and output that into the impulse. But now I need to be able to combine both of these values into one. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this one and create a logic any. And then I'm going to create one up here that scales into that value. And then I can create a logic any there. So I'm going to remove that link right there because I want to make sure that this value trumps. And I'll put this into the second of each one. And now I've combined both of those values with a proper scaling. Move it over and make it a little bit more digestible. And then we can go ahead and press play and see what happens. So if I go left, it's going left, and if I press right and left, it goes right. Actually, that is right. So if you press right, it goes right. If it goes left, it goes left. So now the ball is jumping as well, doing exactly what we wanted.